everybody, I'm Jamie Pate, and I am so honored to be here at Scrapbook.com, and boy do I have a fun new little array of product here to share with you all today. First up, let me share this Shape Die's Berry Sweet, and it is very sweet. It comes with 18 pieces. We have some handwritten words and some flowers and some leaves, and you know I'm here for that. And there's also an opportunity to make a cute little sweet basket. Then let's segue right into this Berry Sweet stamp set where we have a lot of sentiments and also the handwritten sweet and berry, which also goes with the die set, leaves and berries and strawberries. And wait, there's also Berry Sweet patterned paper. And it is so sweet and just great pattern contrast, like the stripe against the berries. And then you have the hearts, which are for all season, especially going with dots. Come on, we're here for the dots, right? And then beautiful gingham. This is such a gorgeous combination here with this floral. What else do we have? We have this black, kind of like a buffalo check. It's just a little bit bigger than the gingham. And then polka dot. Oh my goodness, I love the polka dot. Oh wait, we're skipping forward here. So we have this green, kind of like a hash mark there with a pink daisy. We have cherries and some solids are included with this pattern as well in the green, and then this swirl with the cherries. Then we're finishing it off with that solid pink, and then a kind of like a seeded pattern here at the very end and a red solid. So that's a look at Berry Sweet. So today I want to share with you a little project, kind of a card idea that I had. And so I'm going to start with the pattern paper. So we're going to set these things to the side. And I have decided I'm going to grab, of course, the black dot because it is just so sweet. It's just so universal. It can be used with so many things. I am a fan of that pink gingham, and I really love, let's find it again, yes, that floral right there, which is the back of here, but I want it separate. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out as well. And I'm sure I'm going to grab another piece or two before we finish this. But this is a pocket card that I wanted to create today. So we are going to use this pink gingham as actually our card back. And then what I'm going to do here, I've grabbed the scoreboard, and I am going to take this black dot that's on this white background, and I'm going to create a 1/4-inch score on 3 sides because, like I said, I wanted to create a little pocket here. So I'm going to come in here and put a 1/4-inch score on the side, and then here along the bottom, and then one more to create our pocket. So then at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and fold these edges. And you can always come in here with your scissors and help kind of make your corners not so bulky by just snipping off the edge like that. So the idea here is to take the gingham, like I said, I'm going to use this as our card back. And this is going to sit in here just like that. And we'll use some glue to put that in place. Before I adhere this to my card back, I'm going to bring in the Spellbinders P6 machine because I decided that it needs a little thumb notch here. So I'm going to use the nested circles. I'm going to grab the smallest one. Yes, I'm just going to take out a part of a circle here at the top. So let me grab my pieces for the Spellbinders. We've got our platform bottom and top, and of course the magic mat. And so I'm just going to sit this in here, already scored. I'm going to kind of eyeball the middle. All right, let's bring this through here. I tend to just go in a little bit and right back out. I don't need to bring my whole entire card top through the machine. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment. We're going to come right back to that P6 machine though, so hang tight with that. And so now you're going to see that this is going to then sit in here. I don't like to assemble everything till my pieces together until everything is in place. And I have some ideas here for the top of this card. So speaking of that idea, there's this really fun label piece here with the die set. So I think I want this to be a focal point on my card. And let's decide on a color that should be. I think it should be the solid pink. So I'm grabbing that out of the paper pad. And again, we're going to run this through the machine. And I tend to like to just cut out exactly the size of paper that I need. I don't need to run the whole entire piece of cardstock through. And so I'm going to do that. Bring the P6 back in here. Love this machine so much. It just sits on my workspace at home and doesn't take up a lot of space. It is a very efficient machine. And let's just run that through there and right back out. Okay, let's see what we have here. Oh, that's so pretty because it creates this embossed edge around this label. That's stunning. I like how that worked out. Okay, at this point, I am a fan of the notch tags. I don't know exactly what you want to call them. So I'm going to bring this pattern paper. Remember, this is one of my favorite pieces here. I'm just partial to the floral. And I'm taking about 1 inch to create a strip that I'm then going to grab my scissors. And this is just one of the ways I love to kind of DIY my embellishments. I do this all the time. I don't know, it's just something I really like. And so I'm going to eyeball this here, and I'm going to take about the top third out. And then this is going to end up sitting underneath there. But I think it needs one more. So we're going to decide on what color that should be and look at our pattern paper here again. And what do we think about that green? Don't you think that would be a good addition to that? So I'm going to grab a piece of the green. I want it to be a little bit smaller, however, than my inch piece. So I'm going to go about 3/4 at this point. So let's go in here at 3/4. Trim that off. And same thing, just going to notch out the bottom, kind of a V-notch. It helps if you just go up the very middle of the paper and then come in at each of the angles, and you almost always have a pretty good notch at that point, if that's something that you want to try as well. I also don't want this to be as long as my previous notched piece. So I'm going to come in here again, kind of eyeball this just to make sure it's not longer than the larger piece that's underneath it now. So as this is kind of coming together, this is what we have so far. Okay, reaching again for the die set, there is a sweet in here. It also has a drop shadow behind it. I'm going to grab the word itself. And let's see, what color would we like to use for that here? I think because we have all this great black plain in here, I want this word to be black. And I'm actually going to cut out 3 of these and layer them. And that just gives great depth to my cardstock. It makes for a wonderful, almost like a chipboard kind of a feel on for the title itself. So let's do this one. And let's pull this off of the die cutting machine. Oh yes, let's just grab 2 more of these. And I cut my cardstock short previously. I'm just going to grab another piece here. And I think 3 should be good. This is truly a personal preference, how thick you want your title to be. And so let's get that sweet off of the magic mat. And then we are going to glue these together. I need to have some little middles here I need to get rid of, so let me do that first. I like the black title. It just creates a nice pop against the sweetness and the pastels of the pattern. Okay, I'm gonna grab my smart glue and just kind of tap, tap, tap on the glue here. It just doesn't need much. And if there's a little bit of overage on our glue, fortunately for us, this glue dries clear. So that is a bonus because, you know, we're not here for the perfection. We're definitely here for the beauty, but we don't want gobs of glue hanging out. So yay for the clear drying for sure. I am here for that. Okay, so now I have layered 3 of the sweet titles. Just going to make sure everything is as even on there as it can be. And yeah, see how that pops on there? So we're going to lay that in place and set that aside for a moment. I've grabbed the Berry Sweet stamps and I want to grab one of the sentiments to go with the sweet, like it could be sweet thing, sweet thanks, sweet thank you. Let's just go with sweet thank you. We can always use a thank you card in our life. And so I think that would be a most wonderful sentiment to give somebody a sweet thank you. And these are such great, this is a kind of card that you can create each of these pieces and then just have a session where you sit down and make several of these cards at one time. I'm trying to decide here on what paper. I think we're going to just kind of live dangerously here. We're going to take our black ink and our thank you. We're going to put it right here on the solid pink paper. And we're just going to do this right by hand with the stamp block and put that in place. Oops, let's do that again because we didn't get a full thank you. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this out by hand. So we're kind of eyeballing it, which will work out just fine. And then to kind of differentiate this a little bit from the pink that is already part of that label, I'm just going to take my scissors and give it a little bit of a distressed edge. It doesn't need a lot. I'm not going for crazy vintage here, but if you want to go for crazy vintage, you can take this to as far as you would like, as distressed as you would like. I just want to kind of lift up it. The cardstock has this lovely little white core to it, and so that's what I'm going for there. So you can differentiate the sweet and the thank you. Okay. We have one more thing we want to add to this because I am a friend of the die shapes. And so there are some leaves on here. And I was thinking that it would be great to kind of check some leaves either here or here. So let's get a couple of those die cut right now. Okay, our machine's in place. I think it's going to be okay to use this green again because you have it already here and it's just going to kind of play off each other. So we're going to take a couple, oops, I broke my little rule here. Let's cut off some of a strip of the paper and die cut. I'm a friend of the rule of thirds, so I'm going to actually want 3 leaves. Once we get our leaves cut, we'll do one more here. I think at that point we'll be ready to assemble everything together. So this is a great card. Now that you have kind of an idea how it can go, you can change the sentiment up at any point. You could use the sweet and the berry that is part of the die set and have it say sweet berry if you would like for that. It just use your imagination, especially on these sentiments. There's so many. I think there's I don't know how many there are. There's quite a few for sure. And so that makes this stamp set so wonderful when you have all those different options. So there's leaf 1, 2, and 3. And at this point, we're going to set those guys aside while we put our card together. I'm just going to set all the top here and find our glue again. We're just going to want to put a bead of glue on the folded portion of the pocket. Okay, so kind of find your even placement there at the bottom edge of the card and fold under your scored fold and put that in place. Okay, there we go. And that will take just a small moment to dry. I love doing this because you have the fun play of this pattern on top of a kind of a contrasting pattern underneath it, and you can pop your sentiment inside. You can make a tag. You can just add another piece of cardstock with your note on it. So then at this point, I am going to take our label and grabbing the foam adhesive roll, I'm gonna just cut. I love this foam adhesive roll because I can basically pick any size of the foam that I want. And I'm going to place this kind of a little bit at the top here because I'm going to still need to tuck in my notched banners here. I'm offsetting the label. And so now these guys, and actually, let's just pull that up and just go a little higher here on our card. Not too much. Again, we can always trim our notch pieces if we need to, and I'm going to need to do that. So just take a little bit off the top. Okay, and then I'm going to add my favorite adhesive here, this dotted adhesive. Tuck this up underneath and give it a little press. And that's why I put the adhesive on my label a little bit to the top. So I had some wiggle room to play here with adding my little notch DIY embellishments in. Same thing here with our smaller banner. Notch tag, whatever you'd like to call that. And then just give it a little bit of lift there. We don't want anything laying too flat here, do we? Okay, now for our title, which is the sweet, and it's going to be glued to our label here. So again, just kind of tap, tap, tap with the smart glue. Oops. And we're going to kind of come down here a little bit, this lower quadrant of the label. Just kind of tap that in place. I'm not looking for this to be completely flat. So if it has a little bit of lift, a little bit of float, I like to call it. I like my embellishments to kind of float a little bit. Okay, and then we had our little thank you, which is going to need a little bit of foam adhesive. So again, we can cut any size that we need. We can kind of customize it to the back of our, and that's a little wide. So I'm just going to pull that up. I'm just going to trim a little bit off of there. Here we go. That looks better, and then I'll cut off the extra end. Great. Okay. So now, not only is our thank you having a little bit of distressed vibe going there on the edges, but now it's lifted from our background as well, just giving it a sweet thank you. Love that. Okay, let's make a decision on our leaves now, where we like our leaves to go. I think they're going to end up tucking, I think there. So this calls for a little bit of the smart glue just down here on the very edge. Again, I'm not looking for this to be flat. And I'm going to kind of work it in such a way that I have a little bit of lift on my leaf as well. And then I have two more of the smaller leaves here. And so they're going to find a home, kind of clustered. There we go. One more. And I think this makes for, okay, now I just got to decide, where's the third one go? I think that's a good place for it right there. There we go. And it's got its lift, so when it dries, and when it finishes drying, of course, you can come back and give it a really good lift all the way around once the glue is dried in place. So now you have a sweet little thank you. It's a cute little pocket card. Perfect place for a sentiment to pop right inside there, and a great display of these beautiful patterns from Berry Sweet. Thank you so much for joining me today with this card, and you can find all the products we used in the description below, as well as where you can find me online. So be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel.